Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm so happy you're joining us this week. Welcome to A Turn of Events, where we help put a positive spin on the future of your business. I'm Annette Naif, the creative director and CEO of Naif Productions. We are a strategic event production company based in New York City. We specialize in corporate, social, nonprofit, and weddings. I also have a Facebook group for event and wedding planners. If you are interested in starting your own business, I highly recommend that you join us over at the Event Planner Society. It's a Facebook group only for event and wedding planners. Love my vendors, but I'm there to support the event and wedding industry and anyone that's looking to start their own business. Lots of great things. I have an amazing free 5-day workshop starting on Monday. So if you have not signed up for this workshop, it's free. I've been in this business for 30 years. I'm going to share tons of amazing stuff in this workshop. First day, we're going to talk about marketing to and finding your ideal client. We're going to talk about leveraging your network and expand your reach. How do you get your clients? Once you get the clients, I'm going to talk about the system and tools to bring that potential client to a close. So I'm going to talk about all the systems to do that, how to approach events, planning in 2021 and into 2022. We're going to talk about live, hybrid, virtual, totally different. It's a different animal. You know, last year, obviously, we had this crazy COVID thing and we had to take all of our clients to a virtual platform. So we did some hybrid, but I'm going to talk about what that looks like and help you with that. And I'm going to talk about pricing, how to price your services. Everyone asks about that in my Facebook group. So I want to help you with that. We're going to have lots of great bonuses during that week. I'm going to have some special guests come on. I want to talk about mindset. Mindset is everything. If you are starting a business and you have absolutely no idea where to start, and even if you've been in your business for a really long time, like, you know, I've been in a long time, I still have to keep the mindset going. I mean, it's whether you're first day or 30 years in, it's a lot. So join us over at the Event Planners Society. And also Christy will put the link to the free workshop in the chat. So tell us who's here, where are you from, want to see who's here. If you have any questions, please ask us. Today, I have a really special guest, and she's also one of our clients. Love her to death. We're doing a lot of events together, so I'm really excited. And I'm going to talk about how she became a client. This is really amazing, and it's going to inspire you to follow up. Follow up is everything. So first, I want to introduce my special guest, Jamé Krauter. She is the Director of Fund Development for Tiegerman, a nonprofit organization with a mission to transform the lives of individuals with developmental disabilities and autism spectrum disorders for preschool throughout adulthood to help them achieve a more independent and successful future. Her daily role is to raise funds through major donor contributions, relationships management, and event development to support the growth of Tiegerman. So I want to welcome Jamé. How are you, my dear?
Hello.
How you doing?
Hello, Facebook world.
So we are live on my Facebook page, my Facebook profile, and my Facebook group. So it's kind of exciting. We're still waiting to get approved for LinkedIn. So come on, LinkedIn, let us in there. All right. So first I just gave you a little bit of intro here, and I love Tiegerman so much. I had a really, really close friend growing up who didn't have a baby till she was 40, and he had really bad autism. Like, it was really bad. And so I got involved a lot with that, which I don't even know if I ever told you that, but, and he was such a sweet, adorable child, but he had a lot of issues and it was really sad. But she had him in schools and, she had a lot. She made sure that she got him in early and got the support. And so Tiegerman does amazing work. I was able to go to the school and help we did a virtual event together, and I was able to go and see the kids, and they're just so cute. And I just love being around the kids. So why don't you tell everyone first what you did prior to that? Because I know you have a pretty extensive profile here.
Thank you. Yes. Well, I started my nonprofit career in the YMCA, the YMCA of Greater New York, and kind of was everything. Of a crew of one, I was able to run events. I did all of my fundraising, annual campaign fundraising, social media campaigns. So I really kind of was the go-to person for anything and everything to do with marketing and reaching out to our donor base and creating new exciting events. And I had a lot of fun. It was a wonderful, the YMCA is near and dear to my heart. And I know that a lot of people, it's one of those organizations that you say the Y and everybody's like, oh yes, I learned how to swim there.
Yeah. I've done many events at the Y. They have great space in New York City. They have some great space. So we've done, it's always nice to do an event, and then the money goes towards the Y. So it's good. Yeah.
Right. So I did a lot of work with children with disabilities at the Y too, because that was a big portion of what we did. We took care of every child, no matter who they were. And so a big area was, funding for children with developmental disabilities and autism. So when I made the switch over to Tiegerman, it was very natural for me because that community is near and dear to my heart. They're at most risk and need, and it's one of those things, again, the Y has the name and everybody knows the Y, but with children with disabilities and autism, it's one of those heart things, and everybody has somebody that they know that might have some sort of a disability. And it's an unfortunate thing in this world right now, but we all, know somebody, and we want to support the community. And I think that's when I switched over to Tiegerman. I was really excited to continue my work. And again, like you said, I work in the school. So it's one of those things, again, it's so wonderful to walk through the hallways.
I know.
The teachers working with the kids and hearing the kids talk, because that's the one cool thing about Tiegerman is that when they first come in the rooms into our schools, some of them don't even speak.
Wow.
Language is one of the key things with Tiegerman, is transitioning the understanding of language to be able to speak. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Yeah. So fundraising for Tiegerman has become this, wonderful passion of mine. And we had, unfortunately through COVID, we had some cutbacks and changes, and all the departments kind of changed up. So, again, then I became a department of one. So I love it. I enjoy, my job, and I know that all the fundraising, it's a lot. We're a huge organization, and I'm very proud of that. We have 4 schools. We have everything from preschool or even daycare all the way up to 12th grade, and 12th grade goes all the way up to 21, and it's a year-round school.
Wow.
And then we also have adult services, which provides individuals with developmental disabilities either homes. We have housing. We have opportunities for them to do community outreach or in-person connection with groups, job training. So we do it all. So we're an organization. So at the end of the day, when Annette and I got to, I kind of found an email. I think it was it was through connections, right?
It was, right. So what happened was someone I network with, she sent a little ad. She's like, I'll put you in our newsletter. And so I said, okay. So I did a little ad in a newsletter. And sure enough, you saw that newsletter and you reached out. And this is when things were, just happened with COVID, and we didn't, nobody knew what to do with their events. And so, and we had said in the ad that we're helping with virtual events, and, if you need any help. And I never thought, because sometimes those things get lost completely. So you reached out and sent an email. I responded back, didn't hear back. I responded back, didn't hear back. Then I thought, okay, let me go find. And I kind of waited.
Going on during that time.
There was a lot going on. Yeah. And everybody was like in shock, and, we were all in quarantine. So it was a lot going on. And so I thought, well, let me and usually I give a little bit of time. So there was several weeks before we ever connected. But what I did was and this is for all of you listening in my Facebook group, that the key is don't give up. You just keep following up. You don't want to bug them, but you want to make sure that they at least respond back with a no. I'm not interested, but thank you. And until you get that, keep going. So I went over to LinkedIn and I looked for you. And a lot of people don't go to their LinkedIn. So I knew that. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to call her. So I picked up the phone, we chatted, and sure enough, you were so excited about how we could help you. And that's how it happened. And then since then, we've done the virtual. And since then, because you are a team of one, I mean, we do have, a committee, but really a team of one, you needed the help. And so you've now hired us for 2 more events, and we'll talk about those events, which are really going to be fun. And we're excited. So this is what I'm saying, people, you got to follow up because you never know what it's going to lead to. And now Jamé and I speak daily. So we're like,
Yes.
it's like now it's like, because we have so many events, and the virtual event was super successful. And we're going to talk a lot about that. And it was really fun. And it was, look, it was challenging because it's new for everybody. And, there was a lot of consulting that we had to do, which we helped out with between my team and, my AV team and us, and pulling that all together. So, but yeah, so I just want to say too, if there's anybody and you're located in Glen Cove, correct? Well, your schools are located in different locations, right? Talk about that.
Okay, yes. We have, like I said, 4 schools. So 2 of the schools are located in Glen Cove and 2 of the schools are located in Queens. But that doesn't mean really anything because all of our students come from all 5 boroughs. They come as far as, Staten Island and Long Island. So the children are able to come from any district. The parents really fight for their children to come into our school, because the funding gets redirected from their schools to our organization. Unfortunately, it doesn't cover fully what we try to do and provide here at Tiegerman.
Yeah.
That's why fundraising is so important. But it's a really wonderful organization that reaches out to everyone and anyone that wants to be able to join us within the 5 boroughs.
Yeah. So if you are, know someone that could use this school, or reach out to myself or Jamé, and we'll get that information at the end. But, it's amazing organization, and the people are really awesome. And I just love working with everybody. Okay. So we're going to talk about fundraising for nonprofits during the pandemic and beyond. And so let's just get started. So did your process look like when it was obvious that in-person events were not going to be possible?
Right. And that was really kind of stressful, I think, at that point in time, because right at that point, we were just planning our food and wine events. So we basically had just started making phone calls to, put together our events. And at that point, really didn't know where we were going to go with that, because, of course, nobody wanted to, leave their homes at that point.
Right.
That was when everybody was like, okay, well, that's it. We're all in for that.
We thought we were only in for a couple of weeks. Little did we know. Yeah.
Right. So what we did was we took it to our social media channels and our YouTube. Like, we really built up our YouTube and our social media channels during that time. Our YouTube channel really was a resource for us, because we created different events where we were to try to engage our community. One of the things that we did, of course, communication is key, right? So we kept it open communication through our State of the Unions, which was basically our program director, Dr. Jeremy. He was able to do these 15 minutes to sometimes 45-minute events where spoke about what's going on within Tiegerman and kept everybody up to date. And it was very important, I think, during that particular time, because that's when the students, were most nervous, and they were out of the schools, and donors didn't know what was going on. Nobody knew what was going on. So communication was the key, right? Language, communication, that's the key. So that was one of the biggest things we did. And then we kind of thought outside the box. How do we engage people? So we created Zoom events where we invited them to come in, and we had guest speakers. So we had a lot of times we had people that were talking about emotional health, because I think during that time, again, we were all uncertain and and again, with our population, we want to make sure that everybody was healthy and mindset was right. So we had a segment called Toya Talks, which one of our volunteers and our board members and parent liaison here, Toya Davis, is an amazing individual, and
He's
she
awesome.
did these amazing conversations with her parents. We opened it up to everyone, and we had weekly, we did different calls and different events like that, and we did a big, push on our website where we opened up resources. So if parents were looking for things to do with their kids, there was a huge resource page of different places to go online. So we did a lot of little things where it was more engagement. It wasn't events, but it was more engagement right away.
And the kids weren't in school, right? So did the school ever shut down? Whatever happened with the school?
So right away, I believe the school shut down for like maybe a couple of days.
Wow.
Then we all went virtual. Everything went virtual very quickly. So because our our children and our individuals here really need to be on a schedule, they need to have consistency. I mean, any child really needs that.
Yeah.
I have 3 little ones. I know that.
Yes, you do.
So it's one of those things where, our families here were depending on our consistency and keeping our kids engaged. So a lot of them, again, we went virtual, but we also stayed in person through a time when like a lot of schools didn't know how to go back to in person.
Right.
I must commend, Dr. Tiegerman, our CEO, did an amazing job with her staff, and Dr. Radowitz, Dr. Jeremy. They all worked really hard in making sure we stayed safe and consistently monitored situations and made sure that no matter what, our families were aware of what was going on. So we went virtual for some, and then for some we were in person. And, that's basically the model we've stayed at right now.
Right. I think it's just awesome. Okay. It's Tiegerman.org, right? Is that okay? I want to post that up here so everyone can take a look at that. Okay. Here, it should be going here in a second. Okay, great. All right. So looking back on 2020, can you speak about what worked well and what you will avoid moving forward? And hopefully it's not us.
Why would you say that? Okay, so
you and I do this all the time. That's why I did that.
Looking back on 2020, we had some events that worked well, and some that didn't work so well, but we had fun doing it.
Yeah.
So besides keeping our community engaged and, having those conversations, we started up this online bingo thing, which was really a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Very small fundraiser, like it was nominal amounts of money, but again, it was just kind of engaging our community base, individuals, and we had a lot of fun doing it. So we did like a weekly bingo. Sometimes we did it like more than 1 week, and they won small prizes. We had a lot of fun doing it. And we were thinking actually of probably doing something like that again, and coming up. And it's all online. We even tried like an escape room online, game night online. Those are things that, again, you have to know your audience. I think when you do these things, those did not go so well.
Yeah.
They're a little bit more higher price point, and they're online. And I don't think that our families really were excited about them. We had some families that attended, but again, that was not nearly as exciting as bingo. Bingo, I think, really kind of hit it off fast, and people enjoyed that. Then we did this other event where it was Dr. Jeremy. Mm-hmm. He had his kids shaved his head.
Oh my gosh.
And we did this all on live on a platform, a donation platform.
Wow.
And it was fun. It was different. And we raised, like $1,000, a little bit more than that, maybe $2,000 on that. But it was just something, again, fun and engaging, simple, didn't cost us really anything. Cost him his hair, but it grows back.
I think it grew back by the virtual event.
Yes, it definitely did.
Yeah.
And then we also, of course, changed up our campaign. So we did a face mask campaign where, we just ordered face masks, and we said, we still need your support. We're not doing our events right now. If you guys can donate, we'll send you a face mask with a Tiegerman logo on it. So that was another way that we kind of, changed it up. We also did an in-person event. We did a couple of in-person events, even in 2020, believe it or not. We kept it very safe and organized, and we did a trunk or treat. And that was a event where we had a big screen out of our property in Glen Cove, and it was a movie. What is it called? Drive-in movie.
Drive-in movie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. And
Fun.
we did a trunk or treat as well because it was right around the time of Halloween.
Halloween.
So our kids dressed up and they went around to the trunks, and we safe and everything like that. And knock on wood, everything worked out well. And that was a fun event. I think that went really well. It's, hosting those kind of events, if you don't have a sponsor, is not as easy because they do cost a lot of money. Renting all the equipment, setting all that up. And I depended a lot on volunteers for that event. And I did have a couple of people that helped me on that as well. But it was fun. It was different, something we've never done. And then we did our golf outing. And
you did do that live.
Yeah, and golfers are like, it's all right. We're going to be on the field, like nobody's going to, and we worked with our engineers, golf country club. They were amazing. They, everything was very streamlined when you walked in, temperature, kept it very COVID safe. And that went really well. I think people enjoyed that. And that was a live event. So that was good in 2020 and kind of what went well and what didn't go well.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the key to this is know your audience.
Yes.
So we did one for, like not every audience will do a dance party, right? So we did there were a lot of, dance parties at the end of events. And I have to say, the people got into it. So, they really did, especially when we would zoom in on people. So if it was a Zoom call and you could see everybody, we could zoom in, and it was so much fun because their families were also involved. It's a lot different. The events were a lot different virtually because families were involved as opposed like the kids would be at the home and everybody was involved. So, it was really fun. And then we did like a dress up thing, like your funniest hat or boas or whatever it was. And so we did a lot of those, and we didn't think that people would get engaged, but they did. And it was really fun. And obviously engagement is everything when you're doing a virtual event. So, so that's great. A lot of fun things. That's really wonderful. Okay. So in your answers to this previous question, you touched on how the overall fundraising strategy changed last year. But now that virtual will be with us for most of, if not all of 21, will you be altering that strategy? So let's talk a little bit about the fundraising strategy, and then will that be changing?
Right. Well, it's events are wonderful, of course, and who I'm talking to, but they're very much about fundraising, right? You're obviously raising money and you're getting the sponsorships, you're getting the connections, but it's about building relationships during those times when you're doing all that, and that's how you really build your overall potential for additional funders throughout the years,
right?
And keeping them connected, and that's how you get introduced to new people. And so I think in person gives you that opportunity a little bit more than a virtual event, unfortunately, because again, you're being introduced to new people that may come in with a sponsor. So it's unfortunate when we had to go virtual because we really didn't have that opportunity necessarily to reach out to new people, because the sponsors didn't bring in their guests that we know. So it's a different kind of strategy, because then we're kind of reaching out to the sponsors and saying, again, support us. But it's reaching out to our local communities and saying, everything is different this year and we really need your support for COVID. Like we had all the face masks, we had to get new air filtration systems, we had all new technology. So grants became a big thing that I had to work on, as well as trying to reach out to potential funders through that capacity. So, I really was trying to expand my outreach to how to get funding.
Right.
But I think, overall, everybody likes to have events because events really, bring in something different. It creates fun. for people to look forward to.
Right.
And I think that, of course, during COVID, everybody was not having fun. So,
yeah, there was a lot of lots of drinking and trying to have fun, but yeah, so I think, obviously virtual was our only way of fun. So we had to, engagement obviously and doing different things and keeping the interest there. But it was a very challenging to get new blood into your fundraisers. Because I think everybody was kind of still in shock and going through the whole thing with COVID, but also too, it's a different animal. However, you can raise money, and you did raise money. So, and several of our other clients who are fundraisers that we did events for, that virtual events, they also raise money. Cause you have your donors that are supporting, and they're always there. So, which is really fantastic. So it is a way to do it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that, yes, you didn't. So why don't you talk about like the difference of how much you spent with a live event versus a virtual event?
That's a very good question. There was considerable, expense still in a virtual event. It was surprising how much still of an expense there was, because there's a lot that goes into a virtual event that you don't think about, especially when you want it to look professional. You don't want to just have it on Zoom or something, like, especially for our gala, for instance.
Right.
We didn't want to just host a Zoom party where the quality of the video was not that great, and if somebody was in a room that broke up, we wouldn't be able to see nor hear them anymore. So we reached out, again, we started working with you and be able to connect the dots of how this really works. How does a virtual gala really work, and make it look professional and organized. And I think at the end of the day, it cost us less. It definitely did cost us less. We were very budget minded to make sure that it would be, more efficient. Going forward, again, also because it's a new event, even though we've had galas in the past, it was a new event. So I wanted to put money certain places that I wouldn't normally put it. I think visually, it was important to have great video. Obviously, the whole event is video.
Right, pretty much. Right. We had we did have our host of the event, Dr. Jeremy, was live, and so was our auctioneer. Yeah. So we had some aspects that were live, which is kind of nice to have that, so you're not like everything is recorded, but it is safer to do recordings of the speakers, because if they don't have the right lighting, they don't have the right sound, they don't have the right Wi-Fi, we have time to fix that in a recording. So it is much safer, and you can run it a lot more. It just feels better. You're going to get a better quality that way. So yeah,
more efficient.
Right. So, I guess you could say we did have a hybrid event, but all of us were still virtual. You were in one spot, I was in another spot. My AV guys were in their tech, their tech studios. And it's a big setup. Like, I'll post the picture when we're done here. I will post the picture of all of the AV equipment that took just to do our, an hour and a half event. That took months and months to put together. And so
whole production, just like you would do for any kind of television show.
Yeah,
the way that set up. So it was really neat. And I know that we all were excited from Tiegerman's point of view, the results. I think everybody gave us really great, responses, and we did raise a lot of money. We definitely did. We actually did, in terms of how our ratio was to, income to expenses, we were in the high. We were basically in the 80s, I think, in 80%.
That's wonderful.
80%. So I think that's excellent. I think that
is
for any event. So for a virtual event, I was really excited to be able to have that as well.
Yeah. And that's what we tried to, a lot of it was, and for all of you event planners out there, education is what is key here, is educating the client on what it takes to do this. And we did, a lot of people were like, well, it's virtual. We don't have to pay for the food and beverage. We don't have to pay for the venue, but the technology is expensive and you have to pay for that.
Right.
You should have a team, an experienced team that knows how to do it and can do it and make it look nice, because it is the brand, and you don't want to, your brand is important, and you want it to, and you don't want to lose people along the way because you're trying to raise money. So if you drop the feed halfway through the event, that's horrible. And we did an auction. We had a silent auction, and we also had a live auction, which was really fun. The auctioneer was a lot of fun. And so it's challenging. And so let's talk about the platforms that you used. So that was another piece that we went back and forth with, what type of platforms to use for the virtual piece of it. I know you and I had many discussions on the platform piece of it, that it was challenging to find. I don't think that the platforms, the software platforms that we use for the fundraising piece of it, I don't think they were ready. They weren't ready for this virtual aspect of it. And so they didn't have the systems. And there were many of my clients had the same problem, didn't have that right system. So if there's anybody out there, you probably want to create a great system that has it all. And you can talk to some of my clients about it, because, but why don't you talk about the issues that we had with that, and what platforms you used for the auction piece of it?
Yeah, it took me almost, I think, well into a month of research to find a platform. All the while we were getting closer to the event, and I'm getting stressed out because I wanted to be able to have it all in one, where it was, something that when you come on, you're in the event, and you don't have to go to another site.
Right.
When you're in the event, I want you to be able to watch the event. That was the whole purpose of us spending all this money, is to enjoy the event while you're there.
Right.
So that was the biggest thing for me. I really was looking for something that had that option, right? Yeah. So there are definitely, I think, a whole bunch of companies out there that had platforms, and then they kind of said, okay, we can throw video on there. And they, and there was a lot of different companies I started researching. One of the ones I landed on was Qtago, which I think overall kind of met the needs that I was looking for, where they were able to showcase the video at the same time. When we wanted people to bid, all they had to do was press a button, or they could text in. They were already in and they were registered, and so once they won the item, the credit card was already there. It just got processed, and we didn't have to bother at the end of that. So, and then the live portion of it, when we had the auctioneer, she was calling for donations at a point. People could just hit a button while she was there, and it automatically, the page went to creating a link where you could hit a button to donate during that particular time. And I think that did lead to people donating. I feel like it did.
Yeah.
I think it was a cool aspect, and technology is scary because some of our community don't like technology at all. So walking through the process of how to log on, and making sure that their credit cards were in, and making sure they had the links, and making sure that they were able to get on the day of the event. Those are all very key information. That was the hardest. But I availed myself to that, basically the whole week leading up to it, where I made sure that people understood how to get onto the event. And,
it was a lot of explanation going on.
Yeah, and it was a big learning curve. I think that's probably the biggest thing with online events. And this particular site, unfortunately, we had to have them, purchase a ticket and then register again to be able to access the event. And that's the one thing I did not like about this. Unfortunately, that whole, second registration to be able to access the event. And then it also cut off people that maybe would want to have seen the event but didn't want to pay, and that's all of this other stuff. Or see the auction but didn't want to pay for a ticket to come to the event.
Right.
So it's, one of those things that I think at the end of the day, like you said, if there's somebody out there that wants to continue to dabble in this, let us know if you know of any other platforms out there.
Yeah.
But it's all, I think for the turnaround time and for what's out there, they had to make do. They had to make it do quick,
Yeah. I mean, there were so many people going virtual, and there were a lot of platforms that came up all of a sudden. And so we had to, my AV team was very good about researching tons of things, and they actually created their own platform,
Right.
which was great. And we were almost going to use their platform. But we decided there was more pieces to the Qtego that we needed.
Because the fundraising side of
it. The fundraising side.
Event.
Yeah.
The production company, I think, is great. I think their site was easy and fast. But for the fundraising side of this whole thing, which, obviously is the most important thing for me, is to be able to get downloaded reports of how much funding is coming in, and making sure credit cards are processed and those all behind the scenes, it's legal. Those are important things.
Yeah.
And then we also utilize a company called Give Butter, which I think is another nice platform. It is different access points. So they have a free one. They have, you could pay for a service. We wound up using their free area of that service, which then asks for a tip to our customers.
It does, yeah.
Is the only thing that's not fun about it. But we could have, tried to see, I was trying to see the whole time is if we could get into a different level with them. But at one point we did wind up using them, and they're very user friendly. We use them for most of my events during the summertime too.
And why did you need them? What didn't Qtego have that they have?
I think mostly because when we wanted to start putting it out, I needed to jump and make sure that the tickets were available to sell.
Yeah.
That was one of the reasons I went with Give Butter right away. But the other reason was because we have a diverse population of families here that usually like to support their staff. We did like a crowdfunding kind of way of encouraging parents to support our families, our staff here. Through Give Butter. So they allowed us to be able to do that, like kind of a crowdfunding source, which was fun. And I think some people, enjoyed that part. And it kind of worked.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah. No, look, it worked, and we raised a lot of money, and that was really what's really important. And the thing that did you want to say something?
No.
Okay. The thing that I liked about Qtego was you could see the event, and plus you could see the auction items and all of that on the same platform, which we didn't want people to go out of the event. That's important. You don't want to have it set up so they have to go out and log out and go into something else. Now, they might be on their phones doing the text to pledge thing, but they could still have the event up on their screen. So
multiple places. They could have had it on their phone. They could have had it on the computer, on the TV if they set it up that way.
Right.
So it was kind of a neat feature.
Yeah, it really was. Okay, good. And so so the biggest thing that I found, and I didn't get several events because some of my clients, the board was not on board to do a virtual event. And which was really sad because a lot of the committees and the directors of the foundations that are helped, like yourself and all of that, they thought it was a great idea and needed to, that was a great way to raise some funds in the situation that we were in, but they couldn't get their board on board to do the virtual. And so we didn't do several events, and they just figured they'd wait. And as we know, most people know, if you are in a fundraiser of any kind, the boards are usually a little older, and they're not used to this technology thing and all of that. So how did that work internally for you guys?
I think the biggest thing, like you said, is people were nervous about what was going on. And I think nonprofits in general, so I obviously you're in the event world, I'm in the nonprofit world, watching what they say in their feeds, their Facebook and other groups. And a lot of people are like, do we ask for money during this time? Like that always comes up.
Right.
Like COVID. And board members are always like that too. Like, do we ask for money during this time? And yes, you do. I mean, at the end of the day, you do, because your population still needs to be supported no matter what kind of day it is out there.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that put a big halt on a lot of boards because they didn't get it. They didn't get the fact and that they needed to still continue to ask money. I think that halted a lot of people. Also, the fact that we didn't know how long this was going to last. Maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month. Who knew? So people were like, well, we'll wait until we can be able to meet us in person again.
Right.
The technology hurdle is a big thing. Again, people don't understand that how technology can be useful, but those that did, I think, benefited.
Yeah.
We waited a little bit too, because we wanted to make sure that we got everything correct and together and made it look
right.
Like, but we did it. And at the end of the day, I'm proud because we did it.
Yeah. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you because, I had to get on the phone with you and educate you about what it looked like. And then you were excited. I remember how excited you were because I remember you feeling so defeated. I mean, I can only imagine here you are trying to make sure that you keep the schools going and you get, what needs to happen. And all of a sudden everything stopped. I mean, I know my business was shut down. So I had to myself figure out, okay, so what's the next step? And it just virtual obviously was the way. And so I got on the phone with my AV team and we had a meeting. I said, what does it look like? What are we doing? What pieces do I take in and kind of come in and do for you guys? And I watched a lot of virtual events, and I'm speaking to all of my event planners out there who are just not sure what to do if your business is kind of struggling. And still, I think people are still doing some of it. I know a lot of my clients that did virtual are like, oh, I like this. We're going to keep doing this. Right. So we're going to still do live, but we're going to throw some virtual in because they liked it, and you're able to reach more people, right? So if you have an event for 200, you can get 400 or 500 people on from all over the world to come on your event and get to know who you are. So it definitely opened the eyes to a lot of people. But education is a big thing, and I just started getting on a bunch of engagement is what I needed to know. It's like I knew because we've done a lot of virtual events through over the years. My AV team had been doing them for 40 years. And of course, I've been doing this for 30. But we had done virtual aspects to events, live streaming. So I knew all about that. But it was the engagement pieces and what companies are out there that I could bring in, because it was basically a free-for-all and figuring out like what we have to keep the engagement going and have it fun. So I did a lot of that during that time just to kind of learn what would work, and pricing. It was and everybody, nonprofits don't have a lot of money to spend. So you have to be very resourceful and find things that we can bring in and still have it fun with nonprofits. But so I think I feel bad for the organizations that didn't jump on board, and I'm super proud of you for getting it and going back to your team and talking about it. And they're all fantastic. So they got it.
We really had to refocus on how we were going to make this happen. And generally our galas are held in like the fall, and our other event, which is called the Food and Wine event, which we'll talk about in a second, I'm sure.
Yes.
That usually held in the spring. So we really switched it up this year.
Yep.
We did our gala in the spring, and we're going to do our Food and Wine in the fall, hopefully, maybe possibly in person.
Yes.
That also was one of those things that, because of the timeline of everything, we wanted to, again, make sure it was successful and reach out to all of our donors and sponsors and say, COVID obviously changed a lot of things, but where we're at, and we still need your support no matter what. And I think when you package it that way, people are going to give regardless if it's in person or virtual.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of nonprofits found. That regardless, you're going to get the donations. Did we need to have the full beautiful gala on virtually? I think it helped. I definitely do. I feel like people wanted to attend something even though they're sitting in their homes.
Right.
Does a full out straight ask work? it does help as well. Because I did full out asks as well, where it just said, we need support for COVID, and we got those as well. But I think, people are used to these kind of events, and they're excited about these kind of events. And
yeah. Well, it also helped that we couldn't do anything, right? So we were all in quarantine and couldn't go anywhere. So all we could do was kind of get engaged on our computers and see people that way. I don't know how, it's going to be interesting to see how engaging people will be after we're all open and, like in a year from now, how that's going to look, because I do know that a lot of people are going to, still want to do the virtual aspect of it, but we'll have to see how that looks and if people are still engaged enough and if they're not just out and about now going crazy. So in the world. So let's talk about the sponsorships. We only have a few more, maybe like 10 more minutes, but I could talk about this forever. And this is so awesome. Thank you so much. But let's talk about the sponsorships and create an opportunity for more support, like the, getting crafty about your sponsorships.
So that's a really great question. We are setting up for our golf outing again for this year. And, thanks to you and your support, we kind of played around with the ideas of how to change up our sponsorships. And, sometimes less is more when you do a request for support. So we're playing around with, setting a goal for at least every hole to have a T sign and keeping it at a lower cost so we can involve more nonprofits or companies or businesses in the community to support Tiegerman and put their name out there to all of our golfers. So it's a great way to kind of change things up sponsors wise. Cold calls, unfortunately, are hard, but as Annette knows, you just got to keep it going. It's the same thing in fundraising. As a event person, when you want to book a new client, you have to follow up. And fundraising, if you want to get more funding and new donors, you have to follow up.
Exactly.
You have to, utilize your volunteers and utilize your community to really start the conversation with them and then do the follow-up, And that, I know volunteers are really great in that capacity too, because maybe they know people and are able to have a connection with, individuals that might be able to connect you to other people, Maybe they can't give, but they connect you to other people. So it's the same thing. It's the same kind of events and fundraising. It's all about reaching outside and not staying within your four walls.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're doing a big, because we want to grow we don't, listen, you have a board, they've been around for a while, and then, we need to grow the community. Every fundraiser, every nonprofit needs to grow. And so we are putting a strategy together to reach out to all the companies, all the organizations in Long Island, New York, because, we're all the 5 boroughs really for Tiegerman. But, and so we're putting, I'm cracking the whip with the committee. So, that's, we're just gonna give them the information and have them get on the phones and start calling people and reaching out and supporting. So that's really what you have to do. But, anytime you have children involved or dogs, like animals, it's an easy ask, and then they might know someone, like you said, we might call the CEO of, AARP or something, and his niece or her niece has autism. So you just never know. And just getting awareness out there. It's a lot of work, but that's why you have a committee, and you should have, quite a few people on that committee. I actually have brought my boyfriend into this committee now because he ran and he loves everything to do with golf. And he just from me talking about it. So he's now involved, and he ran a golf outing for 23 years or whatever it was. It's for Seton Hall, a baseball, because he was big in baseball. So I'm happy that he's on, and it's kind of fun. We're working together. He's got some great ideas, which I've learned some things from him myself. And that's the thing. I've been doing this forever, but you're always open to learning. And I'm not an expert in, like I do a lot of sponsor decks and things like that. But there are times when, you can come up with great ideas for other people. And and kind of grab from that. So it's exciting that he's on now too. So
yes, and our chair said something really cool. I think it was last night regarding, you know, there's no stealing, it's just borrowing, and that's flattery. What does he say? Something like that?
Yeah, it's a sign of flattery. Yeah, exactly. No, it's true. I mean, you know, if you find something from another organization, we do that. I mean, every planner does it. We're like, what did you do for this? And we find it. You listen, it is what it is. Why you reinvent the wheel? And if it works and if it's fun and you want to do, so we've got some really fun new ideas now, which is great. Yeah. So I'm excited about that.
All voting is August 5th.
Yes.
We are looking forward to doing that. It's going to be at Engineers.
Yeah. Engineers. That's in Glen Cove. Is that in Glen Cove?
It's not far from Glen Cove. It's in Roslyn.
Okay. Roslyn. Yeah. Long Island.
Yeah.
So if anyone's looking to want to come and play, and you can definitely come and play, or just come and support and have fun and hang out with us. And I mean, it's going to be a really good time. So you can I'll be marketing a lot of this so you guys can see it, but we're excited about that. And then the food and wine event is going to be, we picked a date, right? What was the date? October 18th. 28th. Okay. October 28th.
That's a really fun event. Again, we're just in the midst of planning it, but
now we're just starting.
It encourages like a growth of our restaurants, which obviously have been hit really hard.
Yeah, it's a great time
to be able to support them and really get them out there, and so people, you know, want to go and eat at their beautiful places. So
yeah.
Event as well. It usually goes off really well. So hopefully this year will be no different.
Right. And if any of you out there are wanting to volunteer, we'd love to have you. We can always use the help because we have lots of stuff that we have to do. We're planning 2 events here for the organization now, and always need volunteers. You don't necessarily need to be, you know, have a child at the school, but we would love to get your help. So if you're looking to volunteer and do something, reach out to me, and happy to have you.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
These are community members, board members, parents, families. So we're open to a lot of different kind of people to join.
Yeah.
And I'm also involved with the chamber and our ISC groups here in Glen Cove and in Queens. So I try to keep my, you know, our span for everyone to be a part of what we do and get the information out that way. So
that's great. That's great.
Everything.
Yeah, well, that's really awesome. So we're super excited. Thank you so much for doing this. Such great information. We hope you help some of you guys out there. If you're thinking about doing a virtual, you can still, you know, we're still in we're not open 100%. We are still doing some virtual, but we are going to be doing some live events. I have a couple weddings that we're going to be doing live. So we're just going to have to see what the guidelines look like still and follow those, but we're super excited. Thank you, Jamé, so much for doing this. It was really fun spending time with you. And thank you guys for joining. And we'll be back next week. So have a great day, you guys. See you later. Bye-bye.